Welcome to the DB Man Show. In this video I will be discussing with you my guide to layering. Since it's starting to become fall, it's going to get a bit chilly in the mornings, maybe in the afternoons as well. So in this video I will be discussing how to layer properly and tips for layering. Let's get started. Now, what exactly is layering? Well, traditionally, layering consists of 3 layers. A layer for wicking, which would most likely be an undershirt. A layer that is primary, which would either be a shirt on top of the undershirt or a sweater. And a layer for warmth, which could either be the sweater or a jacket. Now, how does this exactly work? Well, in layering, you can have up to 2 to 3 layers that will be comfortable for you. By this, you could either have an undershirt, a button-up, and a jacket, or you could have a t-shirt and a sweater. If you do something kind of like this, you'll always stay comfortable and always stay warm. That is if you do this properly. Now, gents, when wearing a button-up shirt, you don't always have to wear an undershirt. But I suggest you do if it's really hot out and you start to get a little sweaty. If you wear an undershirt, it won't show through. Then again, it has its cons as well, such as since it is an extra layer, it's going to cause a bit of warmth. But if you're not that much of a sweaty person like me, then you can wear a button-up without an undershirt, as well as polos and other shirts as well. But when it's cold out, I would recommend wearing an undershirt because it gives you a little bit more warmth than just a very thin button-up or t-shirt. And when wearing an undershirt, you want to make sure you're wearing an undershirt, not a t-shirt. What's the difference? Well, a t-shirt is thicker and it's not meant to be worn as an undershirt. And undershirts themselves are thinner. They look a lot like a t-shirt, but the material is thinner and it wicks better than a t-shirt itself. Also, when getting an undershirt, I would suggest getting a low V-neck over a crew neck. This is because if you have a crew neck, it will show, and believe me gentlemen, this doesn't look good at all. It just looks a bit lazy. But when having a V-neck, you will look sharp and you will look dapper. No matter what shirt you're wearing, if it's a V-neck and it doesn't show, it'll look great. In the description below, I will be giving you a link for an undershirt that has always been trusted by gentlemen like me, and hopefully you will enjoy it as well. Now, it's time to show you some ways that you can layer. I'm going to be giving it to you visually and auditorily. By this I mean I'll be showing you what I mean, as well as talking you through it. Get started. Now, for 2 layers, when it's fall, I would suggest having an undershirt or a button-up shirt like so. Or you could have a normal t-shirt, a button-up shirt without an undershirt, and a sweater, or just a shirt and a jacket. If you'd like to have 3, you could do this by having a normal shirt, a sweater, and a jacket, but I would only recommend doing so when it's getting colder outside, like in the winter. Then I would recommend doing it like that. But in the fall, it might get a bit hot. So I would recommend having an undershirt, button-up, and a jacket or sweater if you would like to have 3. I usually consist of doing 2 layers in the fall. That way I won't be too hot or too cold. So if I'm feeling a bit warm, I can take off the jacket or sweater and still have a normal shirt underneath, such as maybe a polo or button-up, and it would still look good and it would still feel good temperature-wise. Now, when layering in the winter, it's not going to be that different. It's going to have maybe a little bit more layers, but the overall mechanics are going to be the same. A wicking layer, primary layer, and a layer for warmth. For winter, since it gets much colder, I would recommend having more like 3 layers over 2. Depends on the temperature outside where you are. But I would recommend having a shirt, sweater, and jacket if it is very cold, or an undershirt, your primary shirt, and then a jacket or sweater. Having 3 layers is always going to keep you warmer, and if you're feeling a bit hot, you can take 1 layer off and you'll still stay warm. Now for the spring, it's going to be a little bit different for layering. By this, I mean since it's going to be warmer than fall, you're going to want to have lighter layers, such as having an undershirt and a button-up, or just having your primary shirt and sweater, or your primary shirt and a jacket. If you're going to have a jacket, you want to make it light, because in the spring, like I said before, it's going to be warmer than the fall or winter, so you should have a lighter jacket or a sweater or even a hoodie, so it doesn't get too hot and you can still have some warmth if needed. In the spring, it's probably best to have 1 to 2 layers. I would rarely ever have 3 in the spring. So for the 1 layer, I would suggest your primary shirt, obviously since it's just 1 layer. For 2 layers, I would have an undershirt and your primary shirt, or just your primary shirt and a sweater or jacket like mentioned before. Now in the summer, when it comes to layering, it's going to be much different than the other seasons. This is because it's going to be hot in the summer and layering isn't much of a necessity, like how it would be in the winter or fall. So if you are going to layer in the summer, I would suggest having around 1 to 2 layers, if even you need 2 layers. For the 1 layer, I would just have the primary shirt, since it's just 1 layer. For 2 layers, I would either have an undershirt and a button-up, or the primary shirt and jacket. In case you need to wear a suit jacket, blazer, or sport coat for your job, it is best to have the jacket without the lining. Now, why would you want a jacket without lining? The lining of a jacket is just meant to keep you insulated, in other words, warmer. But in the summer, you want to stay cool since it's already going to be hot. So it would be best to have the suit jacket, blazer, or sport coat without the lining. That way, it will keep you cooler. Thank you for watching the DB Man Show. I encourage you all to like, comment, and subscribe. If you really would like to run the extra mile, I suggest you share this with someone you know. That way they can layer like a pro, just like you. This is the DB Man Show, signing off. Have a good day. I recommend having lighter colors. No. Why am I doing colors now? It's layering.